it was the fragility of the team and the club, because this is a kind of multi-level malfunction at this level. Listen, this is now the 6th qualifying campaign in a row that Celtic have failed in. And everyone's different reasons, but there is something systematically wrong with Celtic, the way they're operating, for this to happen on a continual basis. In terms of the actual night itself, I think we can look at the club's situation. Because listen, by the way, nobody spares blame here. No one's escaping blame. I mean that's from the players to the management team, coaching staff, and the board. It's across the whole lot of them that are going to get it, because it's failure on every level. In terms of on the pitch, I think you're seeing. I've no doubt made some additions to the squad, but I think you're seeing how fragile that squad group is, how much they're lacking in strength of depth. In terms of, and also where the recruitment was made and when it was made. You get a £9 million winger who's not even off the bench in Hassan. You get Mika Bauer, who's played the second game for the club in that pressurised environment. Not really fair on the young lad. And you've got injury problems and fitness issues, and the squad's limitations were laid bare, I think, last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at the team Celtic finished up with. I mean, especially in defence, Anthony Ralston, Liam Scales, Dane Murray,
Luke McCowan.
I mean, it was
Rio Tati, who's half out the building.
Like you say, strength and depth has been a major issue. Celtic, by the 25th of August, had only signed 4 players for this make or break Champions League qualifier. And albeit, I do think they have signed quality additions. Can't deny that. But really, I think Martin Neal hinted at that in his press conference prior to this.
He knew
to this game that he wasn't quite happy with how the squad were shaping up for this, because there are good clearing gaps all over the park. All over the park, especially in defence. I mean, I must admit, I was astonished a couple of weeks ago when Martin was asked about whether he plans to bring in another central defender, and he said no, he's quite happy with what he's got in a minute. I mean, you saw Cameron Carter, and here's another thing as well. In terms of fitness levels, how many players cramped up last night?
Well, this is the thing.
I mean, they had a weekend off.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, in hindsight, was that a good idea? I'm not sure. The Celtic played. They didn't activate that postponement last year, and they lost to Kyrie. They activated it this year, and they've lost the last. But I mean, that was a concern as well. They were dropping the flies all over the park. Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
You're into a crucial match where you've got Cameron Carter-Vickers, who's coming back from a long-term injury. It's proved in the past when he's injured, it takes a bit of time to warm up. Lacking for match fitness, struggling to get through 90 minutes. But Kieran Tierney, who for some strange reason at 28 years old still is struggling to get through 90 minutes, with no backup left back on the books, because your backup left back is also the backup centre half. So he's having to go across to play left back. Liam Scales has come off the cover for being Kieran Tierney, and then you get Dane Murray who's going to come in and cover for Carter Vickers. And Dane Murray, listen, no disrespect to the lad, it's a big jump up for him to play at that kind of level. The squad issues, I think it's separate, isn't it? These are issues that should have been dealt with as a club as a whole. I still think Celtic, that team should have been good enough to beat Lask.
100%.
I mean, listen, Celtic can go and plead poverty and say that they can't compete with Barcelona, Real Madrid and Arsenal and all these teams. And you're right, you can. You can compete with Lask. Celtic's budget is way in excess of Lask's. Their turnover is 3 times Lask. Their stadium's 3 times the size of the stadium we're in last night. There's no excuse. And by the way, you can say the same about Almaty, about Cluj, about Ferencváros, about Midtjylland, about Malmo, about Maribor. All these teams on this list of shame games and these qualifiers. Celtic had the capacity and the resources to beat all of them. And it's no excuse. There really isn't an excuse. On the pitch, in terms of, listen, the club split aside, on the pitch, it broke down very, very quickly, didn't it? Why did that happen? Why did it fall apart so quickly?
This is what I mean. You're talking about the board as well. There will be a total scattergun approach now. I mean,
we're doing it now.
Effectively, the board will get it in the neck, as we discussed about the lack of strength and depth in the squad. But listen, nobody was having a go at the board last week when Celtic were leading 3-0. They thought, this is almost job done.
Aye, it was camouflage, but wasn't it?
No, but listen, Celtic should have had enough there. There's no way they should have collapsed like they did last night in the manner they did. 4 goals, they had a 4-goal cushion with an hour left in the clock.
Yeah.
To then lose 5-1.
That's what I'm saying.
To be honest, I think it's in many fans' eyes, I think it'll be unforgivable. I think for me, that's certainly in my lifetime, I think that's the worst European result I've witnessed, and I think it's probably up there in terms of one of the worst ever in the club's history.
I think it's arguably up there as well.
They've lost to lesser teams, they've lost to a lot heavier scorelines, I think to PSG and Barcelona, etc. But the manner of that capitulation last night was alarming. And by the way, we could have a go at the players. The manager needs to shoulder his blame as well. And fair play to him, he took responsibility after the game, and he spoke to you in the press conference, Mick. But listen, his substitutions last night were baffling, and they contributed absolutely nothing.
Arguably made things worse.
I mean, I'm not going to start a pile on the guy who's already started. I mean, I feel sorry from the sense that he's obviously deactivated Instagram account. He's obviously aware of what's been said about him. But look, McCowan, that was a horror show. That was up there one of the worst cameos that I've seen.
The game was sliding out of Celtic's grasp long before Luke McCowan was involved anyway. I mean, the game was just. I mean,
the point is
4-1 down at the point.
But with that team, the team that they started with, the replacements that were coming on, they just weren't good enough.
No.
Yang, we spoke about Yang before. I mean, I thought he started off really brightly. I thought he started.
He set as well.
I thought he set the tempo for Celtic early on. Who, by the way, started okay, but essentially when Callum McGregor scored that goal, as if they just took the foot off the gas and then it was just wave after wave of attack. But I thought taking Yang off for Konecki, who's so lightweight, offers nothing defensively. I thought that was a really rookie error by Celtic. I can quite understand that. You talk about Hassan Hassan, he didn't even come off the bench last night.
No,
£9 million signing, why not?
Yeah, it's very strange. Again, you can it's hard to separate, I think, the faults on the pitch and the decisions made on the pitch and from the players.
It's a responsibility.
Because you think, well, that midfield was getting walked through at times last night. And you think, well, everybody has said for weeks, if you're going to sell Arnie Engels, you need a strong midfield presence in there to replace him. It wasn't done. And the midfield again was wide open. And listen, I think Mika Bauer and Benjamin Egan are very tidy football players, and they'll do very well, and they'll probably run amok in Scotland. In that environment, when the heat is on, we talked about crisis management in the build-up. They're not the guys for that battle. No. They're not. They're neat and tidy football players, and needed somebody to anchor that alongside Callum McGregor, help him out. Callum McGregor, I mean, I don't think it's a great game last night. I know he gets his goal. However, but he's absolutely swamped. I mean, totally swamped.
He's looking around him.
You're watching it thinking, this is madness. This is madness. And by the way, they bring on Euro CAPITULATION. And Euro CAPITULATION, listen, he ran about. The first thing he did was look, they take the ball into his feet and looked over his shoulder, didn't look over his shoulder, had a Hollywood pass on the on the turn, let's get the ball away, and straight back. And again, you're thinking, that's not what you need. At that point in time, I think it was 3-1. And major panic stations. He started to put a foot in the ball and control a game, not whip the ball in the corner without looking and put yourself under pressure. It was utter madness.
They were completely overrun in the midfield, and you know what, it's happened time and time again. We've spoken about it so many times. Obviously they sold Arnie Engels, but they lack a real holding midfielder there.
Yeah.
We spoke about it building up to this game. I raised concerns about Celtic coming up against a better opposition. Dundee United hit the woodwork 5 times. They were lucky not to concede against Kilmarnock. And look what happened. They come up against a better quality opposition, and there's an onslaught of chances, and they concede 5 of them. So it came as absolutely no surprise. And I think, like you say, I think there's a breakdown somewhere between the defence and midfield, because there's so many gaps. They're like exposing themselves to far too many chances. 40 shots at goal at Champions League level. I mean, that's absolutely.
We're not talking about Real Madrid, Barcelona. I'm not talking about
Can you imagine if it was?
I mean, 40 shots and goal from no, listen, no. I keep saying no disrespect. It is disrespect, right? But it's LASK. It's the team. It's the Austrian champions. It's not the Spanish champions, the German champions, the English champions. The Austrian champions got 40 attempts, 60 attempts in goal in 2 games the next time. I mean, that is. I mean, it's embarrassing, humiliating for Celtic. I wonder. I mean, we've touched on it. I don't think the management and coaching staff escaped this either, because they've been playing this kind of brand of chaos ball since Martin O'Neill come back in, and
there's no structure,
and it's almost like it relies on people doing things in the moment, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of structure or organisation at times. We've seen hints of it, but it's not consistent. It's chaos ball, and chaos ball doesn't. Martin O'Neill said something before in the build-up. He says it might turn into a game of basketball, and if it is, we need to take our chances. And you're thinking, oh, the last thing you want to do is a game of basketball in the Champions League qualifier. And by that happened. The first half it was a bit like that. Celtic had good chances, last good chances, Celtic scored, and you think that's it done. But the tide just turned, and the second half was as bad as I think I've ever seen. Absolutely. I mean, Celtic didn't muster a shot and goal pretty much the whole second half or the next time. And it was only a matter of time. I mean, the goal came late, didn't it? I mean, they were seconds away from getting there. over the line, really.
But you sense it.
But
We
was-
looked at each other when the third one went in. Well, this is going to be.
It was only going one way at that
Exactly.
point. It was only going one
And
way.
you knew as soon as they got that aggregate equalising goal, pretty much the stoppage time, wasn't it? You just knew there's only going to be one winner on the extra time here.
But at this point, you get a spell. You get Dane Murray playing right back at a spell. Scales went left back.
Team.
I mean, the team is all over the camp at this stage. I mean, the shape had gone. The organisation was at the window. Not that it was great in the first place, and they didn't have to pay the price.
But listen, what about the ramifications? I mean, you look at what happened last season with the fallout with Terry Amati. The place was toxic. It pretty much, it destroyed the season for pretty much best part of 5, 6, 7 months. The toxicity levels are through the roof. Is that going to be the case again this year?
This is the big question. I mean,
This is a worse result than Terry Amati. That's not.
No, I think.
Making a move
I mean,
about
the Gannon and Ryan, it's a team that were a cycle away from getting that job done. This team, I mean, I think they have, like you say, I think they've signed some good additions who will do pretty well in the longer term, but it's too late now for this.
And plus it changes the I mean...
But that feel good factor from last week is now evaporated, and everyone's now going, all the things that you were warned about, reading the replacements in, the signings in early, all the things that people were warned about, and then they parked it because the season was started quite well. There was a good performance here and there, and a great result last week. Performance, I think, was a bit of camouflage, but a great result, and I think that was parked. But it's all back with a vengeance. I think you're going to see. It'll be interesting to see on Saturday the fan reaction, because people are not going to be happy.
I mean, people probably. Yeah, I mean, if Celtic get through, they'd have a part of the atmosphere, probably get a full house. Thousands will turn their backs in the game Saturday. I think people are just. I think the word is to use is scunnered. I think people are just scunnered by last night, scunnered by how Celtic performed at European level over the last year, scunnered by their Champions League qualification record as well. By the way, that's £80 million essentially down the drain in the last 12 months.